After many days of hospitalization, Hung was finally discharged. But instead of going home, he headed straight to where Hoai Ca was staying. Along the way, he kept questioning himself, after everything that had happened, would she still want to stay by his side? The harsh words from his mother that day still cut like a sharp blade into both their hearts, widening the invisible gap between them. When they met again, Hung's eyes couldn't hide his anxiety, while Hoai Ca remained silent and contemplative. She had been thinking a lot. Although she still loved him, the fear of being hurt again, especially when it came to Tony, kept her from making any hasty decisions. Tony, that little boy, was now facing a rare illness that the doctors still couldn't diagnose clearly. He had become weaker, often running a fever at night and crying for no apparent reason. Hoai Ca had spent nearly the whole week sleepless, taking care of her child while hiding her exhausted tears from the world. Hung was stunned when he saw Tony lying motionless on the bed, his face pale and breath weak. He never expected that in just a few days apart, the son of the woman he loved would become like this. For the first time, he didn't feel like the strong man he once was. He felt powerless, but more determined than ever. "Let me help you take care of him," Hung said, his voice low but full of sincerity. Hoai Ca looked at him for a long time. In her eyes was a fierce struggle between love and fear. She said nothing, just turned away to wipe her tears. But in that very moment, her heart had already found its answer. Would Hoai Ca have the courage to let go of the past and face the storms once again with Hung? What would become of Tony's mysterious illness? And the mother who was still on the run, would she truly leave them in peace? All will be revealed in the upcoming episodes. Stay tuned, because Hoai Ca's journey is far from over, and more heart-wrenching than ever. That night, after Tony had fallen asleep in her arms, Hoai Ca lay silently, staring up at the dim ceiling. Her heart felt empty, yet cluttered with chaos. The words from Hung's mother kept echoing in her mind like a harsh indictment, that she was the reason Hung's life was falling apart, the reason his bond with his mother was on the verge of collapse. "As long as you're with Hung, I will die." Right in front of his eyes. So he'll carry the burden of being unfilial for the rest of his life. Every word was like a knife slicing deep into her heart. Hoai Ca clutched her head as silent tears streamed down her cheeks. She had endured so much pain in her life, but never had she felt so worthless, so torn. She didn't know which side to choose. On one side was love, fierce, irreplaceable. On the other, the crushing guilt of possibly being the reason Hung could lose his mother, forever. Everything that was once beautiful between them now seemed to dissolve into thin air. Not because Hung had changed, but because she no longer had the courage to keep going. The next day, Hung was discharged from the hospital. He called her, over and over. His messages flooded in, full of concern, desperation, even pleading with her not to shut him out. But Hoai Ca didn't respond. She knew that the moment she heard his voice, she would crumble. And this time, she couldn't afford to be weak. She typed a message, just a few short words. "I'm sorry. I need to disappear for a while. Please don't look for me." As the screen of her phone went dark, Hoai Ca clenched her hands, her chest tightening as if her heart was being crushed. Outside, a steady drizzle began to fall, stretching endlessly like a sorrowful melody with no end. Will Hung accept to let go? Or will he do everything he can to bring her back? And as for Hoai Ca, does she truly have the strength to walk away from the man who once meant the whole world to her? Everything still lies ahead. Stay with their story, where every decision comes at the cost of pain. Ha sat on the wooden steps, quietly gazing toward the room where Hoai Ca was tending to Tony. The warm yellow light streaming through the small window cast a soft glow on her weary face, dark circles under her eyes from sleepless nights, and a gaze heavy with unspoken sorrow. He knew she was trying to be strong. But the more she pretended to be calm, the more it pained those around her. Ha once thought that maybe fate was giving him a chance, when cracks began to form between Hoai Ca and Hung, when their love started to break more than it could hold. He had quietly hoped that someday she might turn to him, the one who was always there, quietly protecting her, expecting nothing in return. But today, as he saw Hoai Ca resting her head by Tony's bedside, silently crying after sending that farewell message, he finally understood. She never loved him. And perhaps, she never would. In every glance, every tear, every suppressed pain, was the shadow of Hung. No matter how hard he tried, Ha could never enter that heart. A selfish thought flickered in his mind, but one that came from a place of truth. If I say it now, maybe she'll accept me. She's vulnerable. She needs someone. I could be that person. But then, Ha shook his head softly and gave a faint smile. Not because he was giving up, but because he understood Hoai Ca's heart too well. She wouldn't be happy with me. I could hold her hand, but I would never reach her heart. He stood up, took out his phone, and typed a short message to Hung. She's hurting, but she still loves you. Don't let her face it alone. Then he walked away, his figure fading into the night, carried by the last breezes of summer scented with rain. There are loves that ask for nothing in return. As long as that person is happy, even if that happiness doesn't include you, it's enough. That morning, the sky had just cleared after a night of rain. Hung was discharged from the hospital after a long period of treatment. Though still weak, he didn't wait a moment longer. His heart was driven by only one urge, to see Hoai Ca again. He rode straight to where she was staying, heart pounding. He thought about the many unanswered calls, the messages met only with silence. A creeping unease filled every breath. But when he arrived, she wasn't there. She went up to the orchard early this morning to pick longans, a neighbor told him. Hung stood frozen. He waited. The entire morning passed, and the gentle sunshine gradually turned harsh, but he didn't leave. By noon, Ha came out, holding a glass of water, and sat beside him. She's hiding from you, Ha said bluntly. Hung looked up, his eyes full of sorrow. I know. And I'm scared she might really leave. Ha stayed silent for a moment, then sighed. He knew it was time to say everything. I saw it all. Your mother, she went to find her. Said things no one could imagine. Threatened her. Pressured her. Even said she'd die if the two of you didn't break up. Hoai Ca broke down. But she didn't think of herself, she only thought of you. She was afraid you'd suffer if you lost your mother. So she chose to leave. Ha's words cut through Hung like a blade. His face turned pale. He thought he had protected Hoai Ca, given her safety. But the pain she was carrying was from his own family. Again. Ha continued, gently but firmly. She's a good woman. Strong, but deeply wounded. And the only thing keeping her from falling apart is her love for you. If you still love her, don't let this go any further. Fix this, Hung. Don't let her shed another tear because of you. Hung lowered his head, his hand gripping the edge of the bench. His whole body trembled, partly from guilt, partly from rage. He hadn't imagined that even now, his mother would still refuse to let go. Still holding on to prejudice, bitterness, and hatred, enough to push an innocent woman to the edge. Thank you, Ha, he said, his eyes red. I swear. I'll end this. Once and for all. I won't let anyone, not even my own mother, hurt her ever again. Then he stood up, no longer burdened by the hesitation he had when he arrived. There was only one thing in his heart now, to find Hoai Ca, and protect her, at any cost. The sun had slowly dipped behind the bamboo groves at the edge of the garden, casting a golden hue across the wide, open space. Hung still sat there, beneath the old longan tree, his hands stained with dust and soil, eyes fixed on the dirt path that led back from the orchard. He had waited all afternoon, just to see the woman his heart had never stopped loving. At last, Hoai Ca's small figure appeared. She was carrying a heavy bag of longans, her posture weary, but her gaze colder than ever. When she saw Hung, she didn't look surprised, nor emotional, just calm, as if she had already prepared for this encounter. "Why are you here?" she asked, voice flat, devoid of feeling. "We're done. Go home. I don't want to see you anymore." Every word pierced Hung like a needle. But he didn't flinch, didn't retreat. He stepped forward, and wrapped his arms around her. "I know, Ca. I know everything. Ha told me." Hoai Ca's body stiffened for a moment. She tried to break free, but Hung held her tighter, not with force, but with pain, and love that had been held in far too long. "I'm sorry I didn't protect you properly. I'm sorry I let my mother hurt you. But we've been through so much together, worse than this, haven't we? So why now, just because of fear, why are you pushing me out of your life?" She stood still, her eyes stinging with unshed tears. Hung continued, voice low and trembling. "You know something? I have nothing left now, except you. Only you. You're the one I love, the one who gives me hope, the only reason I want to keep living and becoming better each day. You can't just leave me like this." Hoai Ca let out a quiet sob. She felt her heart crack open, every wall she had tried to build over the past few days crumbled in that familiar embrace. The love was still there, intact and burning. And she knew, if she let go this time, it would be letting go of her entire life. She cried. "I'm sorry, Hung. I was selfish. All I could think of was running away. I didn't think about the pain I was causing you. I was scared of making you lose your mother, but I'm not strong enough to leave you again." Gently, Hung wiped away the tears from her cheeks. "We'll get through this. Together. You're not alone. And this time I won't let anyone, not even my mother, come between us again." In that moment, all the pain faded. There were only two hearts, trembling, exhausted, but still beating for each other. Hung held Hoai Ca's hand tightly, his eyes no longer clouded with worry like when he first arrived. Now, they were filled with unwavering determination. "I'm fine now, really. The doctor said I just need a bit more rest to fully recover. You don't have to worry about me anymore. And please, stop torturing yourself. As long as you and Tony are safe here, that's all that matters. Let me carry the rest." His voice was warm, like an early autumn breeze. It wasn't spoken just to ease her fears, it was a promise. Steady. Genuine. Hoai Ca looked up at him, her inner turmoil finally quieting. At that moment, only one thing remained in her heart, faith. They had weathered so many storms, endured so much pain, but now, she knew, he wouldn't leave. And she no longer had to run. They embraced, no more words needed. This wasn't just a reconciliation after a quarrel, it marked the beginning of a new chapter. One where there would be no more doubt, no more escape, only two hearts that had learned how to hold on after the storm. In the days that followed, life settled into a strangely peaceful rhythm. Tony still needed to be monitored, but he cried less, sleeping soundly in his mother's arms. Hung spent more time with the two of them, helping with chores, tidying up the garden, harvesting longans. Sometimes, he was clumsy to the point of comedy, shaky hands climbing trees he wasn't used to, making Hoai Ca cover her mouth to hide her laughter. Then one beautiful morning, they took bunches of ripe longans to sell at the local market. Hung drove the old borrowed motorbike, with Hoai Ca riding pillion, longan-filled bags swinging on both sides of the seat. Up front sat Tony, snug in a safety harness, eyes wide with joy. First time selling longans, Hung laughed. And probably the first of many, because I'm definitely making you do it from now on, Hoai Ca replied with a laugh, more carefree than she had been in ages. Their tiny stall under an aging Indian almond tree wasn't flashy, yet strangely crowded. Some came for the sweet fruit, others out of curiosity, drawn to the cheerful young couple always laughing together. No one knew that behind today's smiles was a journey paved with tears. But perhaps that's why the happiness they held now was so precious, not just romantic love, but a deep, enduring bond forged between souls who had once hit rock bottom, and still chose to rise, together. From a distance, beneath the shade of an old mahogany tree, Ha stood quietly. Before him was a seemingly ordinary scene, a young couple selling longans at the village market. The woman, gentle and smiling brightly as customers picked through the fruit, the man, awkward in every movement, yet his eyes never strayed from her, filled with tenderness. They laughed. They playfully fought over who got to answer the customers' questions. Now and then, a hand would brush against the other's, naturally, as if it had become a habit born from countless shared hardships. Ha let out a soft sigh. He knew, this was the ending he should have let go of long ago. But the heart, does it ever listen to reason? He wasn't jealous. He didn't blame anyone. Just a dull ache in his chest seeing Hoai Ca so happy, not because she had forgotten him, but because the one who made her smile, wasn't him. Yet instead of bitterness, Ha felt a strange sense of peace. Because at last, the girl he loved, the one who had endured so much pain, had found someone truly worthy to lean on. Ha once believed that if he could be by her side, he would make her happy. But now, seeing that smile, so natural, so sincere, he knew, it was Hung who truly allowed her to be herself. That quiet love of his, Ha folded away in a faint smile. Then turned and walked away. He didn't need her to know he had been there. He didn't need a glance of gratitude or a goodbye. Because sometimes, love doesn't mean holding someone's hand. Sometimes, it simply means wishing them happiness, from afar. It seemed that after all the turmoil, life had finally granted them a moment of peace, to breathe, to love, to heal. After Hung's mother was hospitalized, after the apologies, after the long-awaited embrace, it felt like happiness might finally be real. But life is never as gentle as a fleeting dream. It always knows how to choose the calmest moments, to drown people in storms. That night, a light rain fell. Hoai Ca was dozing off when she was startled by a soft moan from the small bed beside her. Tony, their precious little boy, was burning up. Sweat poured from his forehead, his cheeks flushed red, and his eyes fluttered weakly open before closing again. She rushed over and pressed her hand to his forehead, scorching hot. Frantically grabbing the thermometer, the number appeared, 39.8 degrees Celsius. Panic crashed into her like a tidal wave. Through tears, Hoai Ca called Hung. No questions. No hesitation. Hung simply grabbed a thin raincoat, jumped on his motorbike, and sped into the downpour. He wrapped Tony in a blanket and raced to the nearest hospital, rain slashing across his face like blades. At the hospital, the sterile white lights, the beeping machines, the echo of emergency announcements, all blurred with their panicked breaths. Tony was rushed into the emergency room while Hoai Ca stood trembling outside, hands clasped, whispering over and over, "Please, please let him be okay." Moments later, the doctor called them into the consultation room. His eyes carried a grave weight. "We suspect that Tony may be showing signs of a rare genetic autoimmune disorder. It's a dangerous condition that could affect both physical and neurological development. However, to confirm, we'll need to run specialized tests over the next few days." The room spun. Hoai Ca staggered back, eyes hollow. Hung caught her just in time. Every past wound, every unresolved pain, now felt insignificant compared to those two words, her son. The boy was everything she had after years of darkness. And now, that child was facing the possibility of losing his future, or worse, his life. The doctor gave them temporary medication to reduce the fever and instructed them to monitor him at home until further results were available. On the way back, the rain hadn't stopped. Hung drove slowly. Behind him, Hoai Ca held Tony close. Each time the child whimpered, her heart clenched in pain. Hung's eyes stayed locked on the wet road, his jaw tight, his soul shredded with worry. That night, their small home was void of laughter. Only the bubbling of medicinal broth, the soft simmer of porridge, and Tony's labored breaths filled the silence. Hung sat by the bed, gently wiping Tony's sweat, replacing cool cloths, massaging the boy's limbs. Beside him, Hoai Ca clutched his hand tightly, as if letting go would cause their entire world to collapse. They said nothing. They simply stayed together, sharing every breath, every fear, and the fragile hope that tomorrow might be better. And then, Hung's phone rang. He looked at the screen, a familiar number. His former superior from the force. He answered, trying to steady his voice. "Hello, I'm listening." The voice on the other end was urgent, tense. "Hung, it's serious. Your mother, she was spotted near the western border, carrying forged documents, attempting to flee the country illegally. We've been ordered to monitor her closely. If confirmed, she'll be prosecuted for evading arrest and falsifying official documents." Hung froze. The phone trembled in his grip. His entire body turned to stone. Just when he thought he had finally protected Hoai Ca and Tony from the past, it returned, bringing with it new dangers. And this time, far worse. Across the room, Hoai Ca watched him, eyes filled with worry. "What's wrong?" she asked softly. Hung couldn't answer. He ended the call and clenched his fists. Outside, the rain began again. Not just a drizzle, but a storm. As if the sky itself could no longer bear the weight of their sorrow. What will happen next? A sudden call from his superior, what seemed like a routine update, left Hung visibly shaken. His expression darkened, his eyes heavy with the weight of something serious, something deeply unsettling. Could it be that his mother, the woman with a shadowy past and secrets yet to be uncovered, is once again stepping into a plan spiraling beyond control? Could the truth she's long hidden finally be surfacing? And if so, how will Hung respond when forced to choose between family and justice? Meanwhile, little Tony, with his innocent, trusting eyes, continues to fight a rare disease. Though momentarily under control, the threat of relapse, dangerous complications, and the possibility of lifelong treatment still loom like a dark cloud above Hoai Ca and Hung. They've survived countless storms together. But this time, what they face is more than just misunderstandings or heartbreak. It's the line between loss and hope. Between duty and painful decisions. Between continuing to smile by each other's side, or once again parting ways in tears. Will love be strong enough to hold them together? Or will these new tempests wash everything away? And in the end, after all the trials that seem endless, will Hoai Ca and Hung find a happy ending together? Or will life, once again, force them to walk separate paths? Find out in the next episode, where secrets begin to unravel, hidden truths demand to be exposed, and where love, if strong enough, might just conquer it all. Don't forget to follow the channel so you don't miss the moment that could change everything. Because sometimes, one phone call doesn't just change a day. It changes an entire life.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì mình tiếp tục đưa mọi người đến với video về nội dung kênh Ly Hoai Ca nha mọi người. Như mọi người cũng đã biết thì ở trong tập trước thì Hoai Ca với Hùng thì do mẹ Hùng quay lại và đe dọa Hoai Ca, và phải nói là Hoai Ca quá nghĩ cho Hùng và sợ anh sẽ trở thành một người con bất hiếu thực sự, nên là cô đã nghĩ đến phương án là sẽ rời xa anh. Thậm chí cô còn từ chối các cuộc gọi của anh, khiến Hùng vô cùng lo lắng. Sau khi xuất viện, anh đã nhanh chóng trở về nhà. Còn trong tập này thì Hoai Ca với Hùng đã gắn kết lại được với nhau, đã bên nhau. Tuy nhiên có một điều nữa lại xảy ra, đó là Tony, con trai của Hoai Ca thì đang phát hiện mắc một căn bệnh nặng. Hùng đã đưa Tony và Hoai Ca đến bệnh viện để khám cho Tony. Tuy nhiên bác sĩ thì vẫn đang trong quá trình xét nghiệm, nên là sẽ có kết quả sau. Thì mọi người hãy cùng đón xem tập sau để biết thêm chi tiết nhé mọi người.